Okay, I guess we can start, right? I know people will still come and go because it was a little tricky to find this place. I purposely left the keynote a little early just to make sure that I'm here and I'm with you and I'm on time. But don't do like me. Never leave the keynote. That's the most important part. So let's start. Welcome everyone to Xamarin Developer Summit. Yay! And we're going to talk about cognitive services in Xamarin applications. And we all will see that advanced intelligence can be accessible for anyone, and it's really easy. And my name is Veronika Kolesnikova. That's my Twitter handle. So follow me on Twitter. Huge thanks to our sponsors. You'll see that slide a lot today. But those companies are super great. We all here just thanks to those people and those companies. So definitely check their booths. You can get the agenda in the app. You can check it online too. So if you haven't downloaded the app, definitely do. And before we jump into the session, let me introduce myself. Again, my name is Veronika Kolesnikova. I don't have my badge right now, so you have to remember my name. And I'm a developer at RightPoint in Boston. I just recently got my Microsoft MVP in AI. And I have a master's degree in information technology. I started my career as a quality assurance engineer. And I spent several years doing that. But at some point, I wanted to change it a little bit, and I became a developer. And now I have around 7 years of development experience. I look much younger than I'm actually that I actually am, and I guess it's good, right? And mostly I'm working with Microsoft technologies, obviously, C#, .NET, SQL, Xamarin. And for my day job, I'm actually more focusing on .NET-based CMSs like Sitecore and Episerver, and I'm a certified Sitecore developer. At some point of my life, I actually was working with PHP, MySQL, Ruby on Rails. I don't do that stuff anymore, but you never know. Maybe I'll go back. And my hobbies are dancing, traveling, and aerial yoga. So if you want to talk about my hobbies, we definitely can talk after the session. But if you have questions along the way during the session, definitely feel free to ask. If something is not clear, if you can hear me, any questions, just let me know. I'm here to help you and guide you through cognitive services. And here's the agenda for next probably around 40 minutes. I have lots of information here, so I'll try to actually tell you everything, almost everything. We'll start with artificial intelligence and machine learning. Then we'll move to basics of Microsoft Cognitive Services. Then I'll tell you a little bit about main groups of cognitive services and individual services available there. Unfortunately, I won't have time to tell you about each and every service available, but I will be just picking and choosing something here and there. And then I'll tell you just general information about Microsoft, the AI platform, and then we'll move to specifics of integrating cognitive services into Xamarin applications. And then I'll show you the demo. So let's pray to demo gods that it will work and just send you positive vibes. So let's start. We all know about artificial intelligence and machine learning. Lots of companies, they invest tons of money. They're hiring the best people to actually improve and work on artificial intelligence. We all know that that's the future. And that's already here. So maybe some of you have a PhD in machine learning. Anyone? One guy. Yay! Awesome. Good job. I really admire you. because I don't have PhD in machine learning, so I really appreciate the work of those people who actually build the models and work on them and make them better and make our lives better. And talking about artificial intelligence and machine learning, we kind of all understand what's going on there, but sometimes it might be confusing. How artificial intelligence relates to machine learning? Are they the same? Are they working together? Are they not even talking to each other? So let me clarify that part. We'll start with artificial intelligence. And artificial intelligence has more than 50 different definitions. But in general, it's something that we as humans are good at, but machines are not. So we, developers, trying to use if-then rules and other statements to actually mimic human logic and human thought process. Next there we have machine learning. And machine learning is a subset of artificial intelligence. And in general, that's a combination of algorithms and statistics. So using those algorithms, our models can get better at tasks with experience. And then the next group here is deep learning. And deep learning is a subset of machine learning. So when we have lots of data, we're trying to use it in the most effective way. We are creating data nodes, and then we are organizing those data nodes into multi-layered neural networks. So based on those multi-layered neural networks, our machines can not only improve at tasks with time, but also they can perform more complex tasks like image recognition and speech recognition and other cool stuff. And Microsoft Cognitive Services, they're based on deep learning techniques. So I already mentioned Microsoft Cognitive Services like 1,000 times, and you're like, what is that? Microsoft Cognitive Services, they're basically sets of APIs and SDKs available for all of us. So it doesn't even matter if you're a Xamarin developer or you're dubbing down on native development, you're hardcore iOS guy or girl, or you can't live without Android. It doesn't matter. Maybe you prefer Python for all your work. You can still use Microsoft Cognitive Services. You just need to get the key from Azure, and you get in the key, you write in a couple of lines of code using REST API, and that's it. You're getting awesome machine learning tools available for you. So your applications can be more interactive for users, and then they can learn with experience and get better without you doing anything for it. Just connecting it to your applications. And then they have really good community support around it. So check the GitHub, Stack Overflow, lots of great documentations. And then all those services, they were actually built by people who got their master's degree or PhD in machine learning. So they know what they're doing. They have lots of experience in that. That's why we don't have to do anything. We just use their work, and we're showing our bosses that, yes, we know machine learning. So that is also always a selling point there. OK, let's talk about groups of cognitive services. And the first group is vision. And vision group actually help us to identify and analyze content within images, videos, and digital ink. And OK, that's the first one is Computer Vision API. This one is really popular service here in this group. It actually can tell you what it can see, what objects it can see in an image. So you're basically providing an image, and then it will tell you what kind of objects there, where on that picture they are located, some coordinates, and also it provides information about the confidence, like how confident the model is that in this place we have this object. Really cool to use it. It actually can also provide optical character recognition. So if you have some written text, you can use computer vision API to actually translate it into typed text and recognize what person meant probably. So computer vision is not recognizing the intention that was in the text, but it recognizes the text, and then that text you can pass to another cognitive service that will actually recognize the intention. And then another cool one here is Ink Recognizer. It has a little star there. That's on purpose because it's in preview. Ink Recognizer recognizes written text. So if your users have some written notes, maybe they have some special characters written down, Ink Recognizer will recognize and translate it into typed text for maybe passing to other models, other cognitive services, or just processing that text in any way. So it's really cool. It's in preview, so I wouldn't recommend you to use it in production, but definitely go ahead, test it, provide your feedback to Microsoft, and they'll be happy to get your information about it and your opinion about those services, what is working and what is not working. Definitely check it out. And another one, and here we have something different. We have 2 stars. Form Recognizer is also a brand new cognitive service. It was introduced during build just a couple of months ago. And it basically recognizes data from your forms. So you're uploading the forms, and then it will break them into labels and values for you. So it's really cool. It has 2 stars, because it's really cool, obviously. But it's not only on preview. You need to sign a special form to get access to that. But that's available to anyone. It's really easy. You just they have application form online. You're submitting it right there. Then you get an access to Form Recognizer. You can try it and then provide your feedback. And then soon it will be in preview. I mean, it's already in preview. It's like a little you have extra step to actually access the preview. And they will release it completely to everyone soon. So definitely check it out, provide your feedback. It's going to be great, I'm sure. And then if you checked all those vision services, but then you're like, no, I want something different. But there is nothing that exactly matches what I want. You can always use custom vision service. And there, it's really cool. You can actually feel yourself like you are a scientist and you are training your model. You are getting the result. Custom vision service, you can train that service on specific images and train it to recognize specific objects in those images, so that that can be highly customizable for your business. And also, a huge benefit there is that you can export those models. Once you train them in that portal, you can export the models and then use them offline. That is really cool. I'll show it in my demo. I'm going to use custom vision service, and then I will be using TensorFlow Lite that I actually exported from the service. But so stay tuned. It's going to be fun. And next group is speech. So that's obviously all about spoken words and speech recognition. They have two services here. One is speech service. It's called speech services. It combines actually several services. They were separate at some time, but then they combined them all together into speech services because they realized that usually if people use one speech service, they're going to use another one. And it was a little tricky, because for each service, you need to get the key. And sometimes it's a little confusing which key goes there and how they all interact. So they just decided to combine them all together and make it super easy for you. So it combines text to speech, speech to text, and text translation and speech translation. So you can use them all together, or you can use just some part of it. That's totally fine. You just need to have one key and API access. They also have SDK for speech services. So really cool. You can use them in different ways. And both approaches, they have pluses and minuses. So it depends what exactly you want from speech services. And then another one, this one is in preview. So potentially, I am thinking, that's just my opinion, they will merge speaker recognition with speech services. So it won't be hanging just alone there. Now it's in preview. It can recognize who is currently speaking. Like, I think that's a bad example, but in Teams, you have those, that it's highlighted when someone's speaking. But you don't have to be on different parts of the screen or different parts of the world or whatever. If you see it in one room, it can actually recognize who is currently talking. That is really useful if you automatically write in some notes based on your meeting. So you probably saw some sessions from Build when they just created like a meeting there, and they were talking to each other. And then it automatically took the application, it took notes from the meeting, and then it actually recognized who was saying what. Really cool. Another group here is language. And actually, language services, they ensure that apps and services can understand meaning of unstructured text. Or recognize intent behind your text. So language and speech, those are different. Language is working with text information mostly. And one really cool service here that I am promoting everywhere, and I personally absolutely like it, it's Language Understanding Intelligence Service, or LUIS. It's widely used for bots design and development and all kinds of virtual assistants like Alexa and Google Assistant, Cortana. Basically, that is also kind of similar to the custom vision in the way that you can actually train your model based on your information. They have some pre-built stuff for you. It's a good start. But you can go and customize it. And what LUIS does, it actually gets the utterance, it recognizes intent, and also it provides you entities from that utterance. So for example, if your user says, find me next flight from Boston to Houston for tomorrow, then we understand that probably that user wants us to find tickets for a flight. And then there are several entities like origin and destination and the time frame. So you can get all that information in LUIS. The only thing is that if your user is speaking to your bot or your voice assistant, then you need to translate, obviously, speech to text and then pass the text to LUIS. But LUIS is really easy to use. I know it's probably a weird example, But we are currently using Luis in one of our projects. And our project manager in that project, he actually doesn't have any coding experience, but I spent pretty much 10 minutes showing him Luis, and he created super cool models there. He added some utterances, he trained the model, he knows how to test it. It was super easy, and when we showed our colleagues from another project, they were really impressed because they were thinking that someone from development team was doing that. But it's really easy to start. And next one there is Q&A Maker. And this one is also widely used in bot design and development, and also in virtual assistant skill creation. If you don't want to train the model, do all that crazy stuff, that your users pretty much go to your website or use your bot just to ask same questions over and over, and they want to get just standard answers. You probably have a FAQ page on your website, but it's hard to find, or maybe they're too lazy to go and find it. That's why they're using the bot. You can use Q&A Maker. You need just to provide a link to that FAQ page, or if you have those questions and answers in PDF, you just need to upload the PDF file, or I think they support other formats there too. You upload in the file to Q&A Maker. You train the model so it recognizes questions and answers, and then you just plug it into your bot or virtual assistant skill. And then every time when your user is asking that specific question, he or she will get that specific answer. Really simple. You don't need to do any kind of heavy lifting or typing or anything, just there automatically. And then another one here, and this one is in preview with a little star. This one is a really cool service that will help your users that probably they're either learning the language, maybe they're kids, they are reading some books, or they have some kind of disability. You can use the Immersive Reader to actually read the text in different voices, and also highlight the parts of the text. Like you have verbs and nouns there. You're just highlighting them in the text. They have really cool video about it, talking about all the features and benefits of that cognitive service. So definitely go and check the video and try it. It's on preview. You can use it in your applications, and be mindful about people who are either learning, their kids, or they're adults, they're learning the language, or they have some kinds of disabilities. That is really useful. And next group is decision. So this group is pretty new. They just created it, I think, several months ago. It wasn't there before. But it actually enables informed and efficient decision making. So you can just use those cognitive services, and they will help you or your users to come up with a decision about something. Then the first one here is the content moderator. So it actually checks the content that you are providing, or maybe it's a forum, and you can set up some filters and make sure that maybe the comments there or some chats, they are clean. People don't use bad words or get mood of the conversation. You can use the content moderator. So pretty cool. And the next one here is Anomaly Detector. It's in preview, and it's really cool. So you also can set up some, you can, okay, you can set up some rules. So it will recognize what is anomaly and what is not. And I can give you an example. When you post a blog post, for example, you are blogging every month, and you pretty much know that on average 20 people leave comments there every month. But one day you just go to Xamarin Summit and you blog about it, and you have 1,000 comments. But before you post that blog, you know that that's a hot topic, and people probably will come to your blog and they'll check the post and they comment a lot about it. So you can just set up the rule that that's not anomaly, that is normal. But in general, if you didn't set up the rule, it will notify you that something was unusual. That is really good in all kinds of industrial work. For example, if you're monitoring system, and that you don't have to go and personally check the system every time. You see, you can just connect Anomaly Detector, and it will recognize that something went wrong, recognize the time of when that happened. So definitely check it out and try it. It's in preview currently. And another one in preview is Personalizer, and they released it for the preview during build. They were talking about it a lot during build. That is, I know that in some CMSs, they kind of build in the personalization tools, but for most of systems, you kind of need to think about users and what kind of users want to see that specific information. And then they might behave differently, or they have different path in your app, or they want to see different information, different groups of people. So you can just connect the personalizer, set up some rules inside it, and then it will learn from your user's experience, from their behavior, and you can set up different content for different groups of people. For example, if you have an event, and then you have a discount for some groups of people, you know that probably like those people, they might go to your event, but they just need a little push. So you set it on Personalizer, and only those people will see the discount or special announcement from you. Really cool. Check it out. And another group here is search. That's the biggest group. I tried to fit all the services available there, but I wasn't able to because we have a lot. Actually, cognitive services, they started with search at some point. They were doing Bing search, and then they started building those models. And then Microsoft recognized that actually working great, and maybe they can expand it and open the cognitive services. So all kinds of searches, the web search, visual search, you can customize search for your specific application or website, for a specific business. That's available for everyone. The video, the news, auto-suggest. So all they're part of cognitive services. Just get the key, connect the API, and it's going to work. Also, they just recently included the spell check inside search. And I noticed that Microsoft is shoveling those services around the groups all the time. So don't pay too much attention to the groups. Just pay attention to the services themselves, because they might end up in a different group at some point. And the spell check, I think we all need it. I definitely need it because I misspell stuff all the time. I wish every application has the spell check for me. So go and check it out. And then the last group here, that's not officially a group, but I personally think that's a valid group because using this group and those services from this group, you can see where the future is. All those services, they're experimental. So probably some researchers from Microsoft, they have their ideas and they're not sure if it's going to work or if people like it. So they just created labs. They named them project something. They used to name it by city names, and they chose like the most, the longest probably city names. And when I was giving that talk at that time, I'm like, I can't pronounce any of those. So now I'm super happy that they actually changed the names of the projects. But definitely don't use those projects in production. They are experimental. They might change a lot. But based on your usage and your opinion, your feedback provided to Microsoft, they might promote those labs into cognitive services. So they will be actually part of the cognitive services suite, and you will be able to use them on production or in all kinds of environments that you have. For now, just test them, provide your feedback, what is working, what is not. That is really important. So you can actually participate in the future of cognitive services and make it happen. Let me tell you about some services that I personally like. For example, Project Gesture. When I saw it for the first time, I was so impressed. You actually can interact with objects on your screen without using a keyboard or mouse, even touch screen. You're just interacting with the camera, and that is so cool. I played with it for a couple of hours when I saw it for the first time. So they have good samples online, so you don't have to download anything or install or get the key. You can just try it online and see if it works for you. Actually, that statement is valid for all cognitive services. So if you go to the Cognitive Services portal, they have some samples right on the page. So you can see what kind of data you can pass in and what kind of data you are getting back from the service. And you see that, okay, that is working for me and that is not working for me. And you don't need to install anything or get the key and try, but yeah, you definitely can try. If it works for you in their portal, you can try it with your app and then see how it works for your project. And then project event tracking, that is also a cool project here. It tracks events around you. So based on your location, it will provide you some information about the most popular events. And project URL preview, that is more about security and just helps your users. So if they are not sure if they can open a link, some kind of link, so they can use project URL preview. It will show them the preview of a page they are about to open. And there are 12 labs available right now in the portal, Cognitive Services website. And they also have 17 AI labs, and they're at ailab.microsoft.com. So go there, check them out. Those labs, they're not part of cognitive services. That is just something that those researchers are working on and they're excited about, and they definitely want to see what you think and hear your opinion. Okay, so we learned a lot about cognitive services. I provided you just huge amount of information. I can see you're like, what's going on? But I hope you are ready to go there and try them. You get excited about all those capabilities, all those services. And you're just asking, okay, where can I start? You definitely can start from their website, Cognitive Services website. Just try some services online and see how they all work. They are all available in Azure. So if you go to Azure portal, you just type name of the cognitive service, or they have a special group. It's called AI and Machine Learning, I think. Yeah, so you'll find the group. Or you can just type the name. They recently actually created a special resource called just Cognitive Services. So you can get one key, and with that one key, you can access all services available there. That is based on the same problem that I kind of mentioned before. So some people, they use several cognitive services, and because of that, they had several endpoints and several keys, and it might be a little tricky because you need to manage the keys, you need to remember which goes where and where's the endpoint. It's not hard, it's just a little tedious there. So they just created one cognitive services resource so you can have one endpoint and one key if you're using several cognitive services. Then they also have free tier, 5,000 transactions per month. That's for the computer vision API. They have different numbers for different services. So that's all available in that cognitive services portal. You can see what's the limit there, what's the free tier about. If you don't have Azure subscription, then just go get it. But if you don't want to do it for some reason, if you're not ready, that's fine. You can get the key from the Cognitive Services portal. That key will be valid for 7 days, so you can test it with your app and see how it works, what is working, what is not, and then decide if you want to go forward and actually use that with your applications. And I already kind of mentioned it a little bit. The custom vision service has a mobile model expert. So you can just build your model, train it with your images and your tags, and then export it and use it offline. So they have CoreML, TensorFlow Lite, Onyx, and you can export this Docker model. So all kinds of opportunities there. And just quick overview of the AI platform. I know we don't have a lot of time here, unfortunately. But we can see that pre-built AI is cognitive services, and it's just a small part of the Azure AI services available there, and just a tiny part of Microsoft AI platform available for all of us. We also have access to bot services, and those are conversational AI. If you are ready to jump in and actually start building your own models from scratch, you're like, yeah, I'm all about machine learning. I want to build my models. I want to train them. I want to see what kind of models available there. You can use Azure Machine Learning. Those are custom AI tools. And then the whole Azure infrastructure is available for you. All kinds of databases like SQL DB, data lakes, all kinds of AI compute power like Batch AI and Spark, IoT Edge, obviously, that is a big thing. CPUs, GPUs, they're all available on Azure. They have pre-built VMs for you, so you don't need to install anything, just ready for your machine learning. Just spin it up and go wild there. Then you have tools that are not directly related to Azure, like Visual Studio tools for AI. They are available for Visual Studio 2017. For Visual Studio 2019, they are not available yet, so I'm not sure what's going on there. I don't want to lie, so either they create a new version, or maybe they'll include it in Visual Studio itself. And then Azure ML Studio, the Workbench, then you can connect to all kinds of third-party tools like CNTK, TensorFlow, Cafe, all kinds of fun stuff there. Okay, and native functionality. That's more about Xamarin here, finally. I know you're excited about that. If you want to use cognitive services, you probably need to access native functionality. You can access native functionality with device class in the front end, and it's a little side example here that's not directly related to cognitive services. It's just the way that you can set up your layout from your shared project. And so here we just leave in the top margin for iOS devices, and then it's a 0 margin for all other devices. And then in the back end, you can still use dependency services. So that is the old screen for dependency services. Now you know that you can get them from NuGet. And how many of you work with dependency services? Okay, lots of people. Yeah, so I don't need to tell you about them. So where to start? You can create your Xamarin project in Visual Studio. It doesn't matter if it's Xamarin or Xamarin.Forms. You can use cognitive services in all kinds of projects. So some of those cognitive services you can find, so if you want to use SDKs. If you want to use APIs, that's just simple. You just use the REST API, you get in the key. That's simple. We all know about that. You want to use SDKs. Some of them are available in that Microsoft Project Oxford group. So you type in Microsoft Project Oxford, and you see cognitive services that are available there. Project Oxford, that's the old name of the cognitive services. And some of them that are newer, or they updated them completely recently, they're available under Microsoft.Cognitive Services. And here I show you that I used the Microsoft Project Oxford Vision for custom vision. And then, in order to access some native functionality, you obviously can use dependency services that I mentioned before. But I think easier is the common APIs. So you can access the microphone, the camera. Usually when you use the cognitive services, you want your people to, your users, people who are using your app, they're interacting with the app using microphone or camera, maybe location, so all kinds of services there. I personally used Xamarin Plugin Media, created by our favorite James Montemagno. How many of you used the same plugin? Yeah. Huh? Yeah, okay. So I used that. It worked perfectly with computer vision and custom vision. And then you can obviously use Xamarin Essentials that David was mentioning just, I don't know, several minutes ago, basically, during the keynote. So I took that picture during build in order to show you the latest Xamarin Essentials. But then what David showed today, that was different. So they're completely, they're just heads down working on the Xamarin Essentials. They're adding new essentials pretty much every day, improving lots of stuff. So even that was like, what, 2 months ago, it's already outdated. So definitely go check them out. It's really easy to use Xamarin Essentials, easy to access native functionality that you need to use for cognitive services in order to get data from your users. Now let's move to the demo. Do you guys have any questions while I'm setting up?
Yeah, I have a quick question. So you talk a lot about training a model.
Yeah.
Can you just quickly describe what involves with training a model?
Yeah, so you are basically providing your data, and I can show you how I did it with the custom vision. So custom vision has its own portal. Oh, no, I'm not showing anything. I probably should stop presenting. Okay, perfect. I'm like, yeah, look at that, but I'm not showing anything. Yeah, so that's the custom vision portal where you can train your custom vision models. It's customvision.ai. It's absolutely free to access. You can create new project here. I already have 2 projects available, and I'm going to showcase you this one. So here, you are uploading your images. So you click Add Images, just open in a weird location, but you open a folder with your images. We're selecting a couple of pictures. Should have some. This one, for example. We're selecting it, and then you add in a tag. So it already has 3 tags available. You can also add a negative tag, like that is definitely not that. And then you are uploading it, so it uploads it for you, and then it appears here. And then you can see that I have 8 images with that tag, and then I have 9 images for this tag. So now my model knows that probably those cats, they are ragamuffin. And then other cats, they will be Angora. But you can train all kinds of images and all kinds of tags there. So that's training the model here. And that's the general principle. You are uploading some data. You are saying, okay, that is this. And then based on that, your model will understand then when it sees something similar, okay, that is that. Okay, so yeah, I trained my model. You can see the performance here right in the portal. Some precision, you can set up the probability threshold. So for me, if it's at least 50% confident about the object, then it should consider it as a valid object, as a valid answer, what is in this picture. Then I can export, so that's the fun part that I mentioned. You can train the model here where you can see everything, what's going on. You can tag, you can upload your big images there. And then you are exporting it for iOS, for Android, you're using TensorFlow, Onyx, Docker file. And then they have new Vision AI dev kit that just recently was released. So you can export it, and then you technically don't need that portal anymore in general. That's an ideal world. But you still need it because always you need to think about the future and how your users interact with your model. So if they are uploading a picture and then the model didn't recognize something there, or it was completely wrong, then you can add that picture back here, tag it, and retrain the model. So next time when it sees that picture, it will provide the right answer. And it's not only with images and visual tools, that's for everything, especially like Lewis. You get in the information what worked and what didn't work. And yeah, we have 5 minutes. Perfect. We can do it. But I can talk about it forever. So if you have any questions, definitely let me know. We'll talk a lot about that. And so I mentioned Lewis. So there you see some analytics, what worked, what didn't work. For example, a user asked that question, and then it didn't understand it, or it returned completely wrong answer. So you can add it and then retrain the model, and then just, if you exported the model, you need to export it again. It won't just connect it automatically, because once you export it, it's completely separate. It's not connected to anything. But that's really easy. So when you export it, you're getting 2 files. Let me show it in my Visual Studio here. I have the Android project here with the assets. So when I exported the TensorFlow model from there, I got 2 files, labels with the tags, and then the model. And then that model, that's TensorFlow model, it has .pb there. So you can just use it as you use all kinds of TensorFlow models from other resources. And then you're just uploading it to the assets, and that's it. You can use those offline. And I don't have the best code example here, so you can definitely take a look, but don't judge me. That was just for the demo purposes. That's definitely not the best architecture and like coding that you probably saw in your life. That is just to make sure that works. So here we have, we basically have the, so on create, we are creating the button. So it's gonna be button, then image, then we have tags, or result from the model. And when we are taking the picture here, we're getting the image. For getting the image, I'm using that plugin that I mentioned before, the media plugin. So we definitely need to get permission from your users that he or she lets you use the camera to take pictures and then process them. You probably can access their images on the devices and use those images too. Then here's the magic. All the magic with TensorFlow is going here. So you are uploading the model. That's model PB, that's the TensorFlow file, and the labels. And then you are basically processing that. So don't pay lots of attention on those numbers. When we get that exported model, usually it's not completely normalized. So you need to process it a little bit in your code. But that's really straightforward. Usually you have some loss there, like definitely it's never perfect, your model never perfect. You need to accommodate a threshold there and some data loss. And then you are processing the model, and then you are getting, you are recognizing based on the labels and based on the image that you took a picture with a camera, or you got that image from device folder, and then you just recognizing it, and then you providing the result. And here I just have some text data. I think the cat on this picture is the tag, and then percentage of the confidence. So you can get it from the model there. And let me run it really quick, because I know we are completely running out of time. And have you brought any cats? No? Why not? Okay, I brought my cats. Those are not really my cats. I wish. Took some pictures online. So can you see? Yeah, you can. Perfect. So not really sophisticated design here. We are just taking a picture of the cat.
I think the cat on this picture is Ragdoll. I'm 100.0% confident.
I think the cat on this picture is Ragdoll. I'm 100% confident.
So it says it 2 times. First time, that was from Xamarin Essentials. That's text-to-speech. And you saw it was really good, but it wasn't as natural as possible. The second speech was actually from the speech services. So they have neural languages. They are really close to actually how we talk to each other. And you saw it was like much better. But it depends what your project is focused on and what is more important for you. That's it.